What's up, airplane collectors? Welcome to a model airplane review. I'm your host, Ray. Today, I'll be reviewing the NG model 1-400 scale United Airlines Boeing 737 MAX-9, item number 89013, released in November of 2024. In their November 2024 release set, NG model actually made two of these United 737 MAX-9s. Item number 89013, the one featured in today's video, and item number 89012. The only difference between the two is the box art and the tail number. That's it. I didn't see any differences in stenciling or fine detailing, so it's safe to assume that both models will be relatively similar in terms of detail and quality. Still, if you'd rather watch a review of item number 89012, feel free to search for more reviews of these models. I'm sure other YouTubers and collectors have posted reviews of 89012. In this video, I'll do an in-depth review of the model and its features. At the end, I'll list off the pros and cons, and I'll decide whether or not I recommend it to other collectors. The box for this model is made from thick cardstock. The protective packaging on the inside is made from clear plastic. This box measures 13 centimeters long, 12.8 centimeters tall, and 3.5 centimeters wide. I will show you around the box now. This is the front, bottom, right side, top, left side. Oh, looks like there's a little stain there. And the back side. Included in the box is the model as shown here, fully assembled, painted, and ready to display. Also included is an NG Model Collector Rewards program card, which appears to have a new design, and a warning card to inform you that there are small details on the model which may cause harm. In reality, though, the details on this model, however small they are, they really don't pose any threat of causing any level of harm to anyone, unless you seriously mistreat the model, and even then, it is kind of unnecessary to include that warning, but it's nice to see. Here's the model itself. Let's do a quick 360 before I begin my review. The fuselage length for this model is 10.6 centimeters, the wingspan is 9 centimeters, and it is 3.4 centimeters tall. These dimensions are accurate to 1-400 scale. This model is made primarily out of die-cast metal. The wheels on the landing gear are made out of rubber. Let's begin with the fuselage. The nose profile on this model is very good, and it accurately represents the 737 MAX nose. There's a lot of detail on the fuselage, lots of printed detail with stenciling and, of course, livery details. No complaints there. I'm going to move down the fuselage now. Overall, the fuselage shape is really good. There's lots of detail all over it, and I have no complaints. Here's the left side of the vertical stabilizer. This looks really nice too. There is some detail for the rudder. It's recessed line detail. You can barely see it, but my pointer is pointing at the crease there, so that's nice to see. Paint application looks pretty good. The colors are accurate. The color fade is accurate. Printed detail looks good. No complaints. Or actually, sorry, I do see that some of the color fade printing kind of got chipped off up here. It's a very small imperfection, though I can barely see it myself. The only way I can see it is through the camera, so I really won't hold that against the model. Here's the right side of the model. Everything over here looks pretty good. It's the same story as the left side, no complaints. I'm going to move down the fuselage now. Lots of detail, no inaccuracies I can think of, nothing worth complaining about. All good so far. Let's discuss the wings. The wings on this model are really nice. There's lots of detail on them. Here we can see the recessed line details for the control surfaces on the trailing edge of the wing. Those look pretty good. Same deal with the leading edge slats. There's detail for that as well. And there is metallic paint or silver paint on the leading edge, which looks really nice. Printed detail on the top of the wing looks good with the wing markings, no inconsistencies or scratches or anything, and the overwing exit markings look really nice. Now on the right wing, things are a little bit different. In terms of recessed line detail and printed detail, everything looks pretty good. Where I did notice a strange anomaly was on the leading edge silver paint right here. You can't see it right now, but if I hold the model correctly, you can see towards the end of the wing, the finish on the silver paint is different from the rest. I don't know why that is. It's an issue that I can barely see, and it's certainly not an issue I've ever experienced before, but it's something that caught my attention. Now, the bottom of the wings don't feature any printed detail, but they definitely aren't lacking in recessed panel line detail for the control surfaces, so that's really not something I see worthy of complaining about. There doesn't really need to be any printed detail down here either, so Overall, the wings are pretty solid, except for that weird anomaly on the silver paint on the leading edge of the right wing. Now, moving on to the scimitar tips, I did notice a small bump here of blue paint. I'm not sure what caused that. Again, small imperfection, but that is a little bit strange to see. But in terms of the rest of the scimitar tip, it's actually really good. The shape is accurate and very nicely done. The angle at which the tips are mounted is accurate to the real thing. Let me get my finger out of the way, sorry about that. And the story is the same on the right scimitar tip. Now we're at the rear of the aircraft. The horizontal stabilizers look pretty nice. Don't see anything worthy of complaining about here. Shape looks good. The attachment to the fuselage looks pretty good. On some of my other NG model 737 MAX models, the fit between the stabilizers or the horizontal stabilizers and the fuselage hasn't been the greatest because I've been able to see a large seam gap, but it seems as though they fixed it for this one, so that's nice to see. The APU looks pretty good as well. It's just painted a metallic silver or a dark silver color, so that's nice to see. And here's the bottom. Yeah, looking good back here. The engines on this model are quite nice. The cowling looks pretty good. There's some printed detail on the bottom, which I'll show you more in detail shortly. The exhaust nozzle looks really nice. It's painted multiple colors of silver. That looks pretty good. It's very sharp too. The chevrons on the back end of the cowling look pretty good, and the engine inlet here on the left engine looks really nice. There's the fan detail there. Okay, hold on. I can't tell if that's... All right, I do believe I see blue paint poking out from underneath the silver paint here. Wow, that's actually a pretty substantial amount. Or is that a reflection? I honestly cannot tell. Yeah, that's blue paint poking out from underneath the silver paint on the engine inlet right here. So it's another rare quality control issue that I haven't had before, but that's kind of a bummer to see. Right engine, the story is largely the same. It looks pretty good. This time I don't see any blue poking out from under the silver paint, so that's good to see. And as promised, here is the bottom of the engines. Lots of printed detail down there. Overall, the engines are pretty solid, minus that small paint issue on the left engine. Let's talk about the three-dimensional details. These are the details that the warning card is talking about. And this is an antenna right here. This is as big as they'll get. They're really tiny, and I can just poke my finger at them and it'll give me a quick sting, but they really won't hurt you. But this looks pretty good. It's mounted firmly to the aircraft, and I think all of the antennas and sat domes are centered. We'll check that in a moment. Speaking of sat domes, this is the one and only sat dome on this model. Looks pretty good. Shape seems pretty accurate, and back here there is a small antenna. Now let's check out the alignment. The alignment looks pretty good. The sat dome is off to the right side of the aircraft ever so slightly. There we go. I wanted to get the camera to focus a bit better, but here's what the alignment looks like. Overall, pretty good. On the bottom of the aircraft, we have three large antennas. All of them are painted red. Now, in real life, these antennas have a red and white stripe pattern on them, but replicating them on a model of this size would be absurdly difficult, so they just painted them all red, and I think that looks pretty good. But in terms of the quality of the antennas themselves, they're all attached firmly to the aircraft, and they're all center-lined where they need to, or they're all placed where they need to be, and that looks pretty good. And this is the entire underside of the aircraft. This looks pretty good. The gray color of the belly looks really nice. No complaints. There's lots of small details here. A lot of them are really hard to see due to the gray color of the belly closely matching some of the printed details. But if you look really close, they are present. The landing gear on this model is quite good. As mentioned earlier, the wheels are made out of rubber and they actually roll. They all roll smoothly. The landing gear struts look really nicely detailed from what I can see. Paint application seems to be pretty consistent. So the landing gear are mounted with a slight angle towards the rear of the aircraft. This is accurate, but I think they should be angled just a little bit more. Now, this doesn't affect the stability of the model setting on the ground in any way. It's more of just an accuracy thing rather than something that actually affects the model's structural integrity. Now, the nose wheel looks really nice as well. Take a moment to look at the printed detail on the nose gear doors. Wow, that is incredibly precise. This is a very small part, and they featured a lot of detail on there, so that's nice to see. And the nose gear itself looks pretty good as well. Now for my signature steering contest. Engine clearance looks good, gear balance looks good, vertical stabilizer is straight up, horizontal stabilizer mounting angle looks good. Cockpit windows, Okay, they're ever so slightly tilted towards the right side of the aircraft, left side of your screen. Nothing really worthy of complaining about though, so at least they've improved that, because I've had other models with very tilted cockpits, but this one looks pretty reasonable. That concludes my review. Now it's time for pros and cons. So what does this model do well? It's incredibly detailed, and it's very accurate to the 737 MAX 9, or the real aircraft. The colors of the paint are accurate, the shapes of the model itself are very accurate, and there's tons of very small details, and it's incredible how much detail they can actually put into this thing. Well, what about the cons? The only thing I can really complain about is the small imperfections we found throughout the model, and while individually those are small imperfections, they do build up, and sometimes they do surpass a certain limit where you start to think, okay, what happened with the quality control? However, on this particular piece, I do think the quality control is within acceptable measures, and really I can't find much to complain about other than those small imperfections. That being said, I absolutely recommend this model to any collector who wants one. Overall, the quality on these models tend to be pretty good, so some of the issues might not be present when you buy your own copy. And yeah, overall, it's a beautiful aircraft, it's a beautiful model, and if you want it, get it. I think it's worth the investment, and I highly recommend it. This video is getting quite long, and normally at this point I'd be quick to film my outro, but there's something else I'd like to talk about, because this model contributed something quite amazing to my collection. Oh my god, there's 6 of them now. Well, I ask that you take a closer look. The model that I reviewed today is sitting right here in the back row. Here we have 6 United Airlines Boeing 737s, all of which are in 1:400 scale, all of them made by NG Model. With the addition of the 737 MAX 9, I completed a goal in my collection that I've been dreaming of completing since I started collecting 1:400 scale diecast models in the summer of 2020. I wanted to have one of each United Airlines Boeing 737 family plane in my collection in the new livery, and I was able to do that. So in the front row, we have the 737 Next Generation, and in the back row, we have the 737 MAX family. So this is the 700, 800, and 900, and then this is the MAX 8, MAX 9, and MAX 10. So this is really a dream come true, and I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity that I was able to achieve this in my collection. This is quite cool, and I figured I'd share it with you guys because it's something I'm pretty proud of, and I thought it was pretty cool to share. Well, that's all I've got for today. Thank you for watching this video. Feel free to comment your thoughts and any questions. I'm happy to answer those questions for you. And feel free to check out my channel for more model airplane reviews, but that's all I have for today. Like, comment, and subscribe. Happy building, happy collecting. Please take care of yourselves. Stay tuned for more model airplane content, and I'll see you next time.